Namaskar. My name is Saieesh Gandhi. Thanks for inviting me on this day. Happy Independence Day to all of you. Thanks for calling a family member, husband of Dr. Aparna here. So I've been part of this family for some time now, and my talk revolves around my family with my son and my experiments with him in nurturing his life. I could not get him here today because he's not feeling well. He's just got a viral attack 2 days ago. So he's recovering from that. Sorry, I could not get him here. So my talk revolves around as a parent. I see few parents here. Maybe you'll be future parents. My experiments with him or my journey with him as a parent, how I could nurturing his ability. So today's talk will be just a journey of my family as to how we have started the journey from his childhood till now, his achievements, and my what you can say feelings about this whole journey. This is what I'll be narrating in this talk of mine. I have a lot of videos included in this video, in this presentation of mine, which will give you a fair representation of what activities are we have been doing in the past 6 or 7 years. Statement which is a little odd. We all know about the statement called as pen is mightier than the sword. It's a very well-known statement. But for a child, I would like to say that pen is mightier than the sword, but the toy is mightier than the pen. So for a child, it does make a difference. A toy does make a difference, and I'll explain to you how it makes a difference. We think toys very frivolous, and that toys are just meant to be played. They are meant to be played, but they have a very significant value in a child's life. And I'll prove this statement how it makes. And also, I would like to add a statement that pen may write history, but the toy creates it, because the same child then grows ahead to create history. The battlefield of child is born with blocks and not books, because if you say typically how kids play with blocks, right? And the same blocks then become building blocks for his future. So I start with these three statements. So the journey starts in NIO. This is NIO club. This is NIO garden. This is how he would play. I used to stay in the quarters a few years ago. And this is where we started the journey, fun journey. So I would like to present here my son's talk. So this talk happened in 2010, TEDx talk. I hope you know what is TEDx. So TEDx happens all over the country in different chapters. There's something called as TEDx Panji. And my son, 4 years ago, when he was just 10, he spoke at this platform. And you can just So this talk basically spoke about his journey from toys, how he's able to explore these toys further and build objects that could solve problems in his life. And he managed to get a standing ovation there in Kala Academy. This talk 4 years ago tried to depict his journey. And the next talk now just happened a week ago.
And finally, we have Allergy Away from India by Sai Pranav Gandhi.
This led me to develop Allergy Alert, an app which revolutionizes allergy management and bridges the gap between doctors and patients. Allow me to give a live demonstration of my app. For more information and to download my app, Please scan this QR code. Thank you.
So this talk was delivered in MIT last week. We were there in Boston. So because he submitted his app for this competition, which was organized by MIT, he won an award. So he was invited to present there. And this presentation was part of that summit. It's called as the AI and Education Summit in Boston. So there also he got an ovation. So if you can see, there is an evolution in his journey in which he spoke 4 years ago, and then he's been speaking consistently. So it showcases the ability that a child given a platform to perform can perform, and there is nothing to stop a child from performing. So the confidence to speak, as adults might be difficult for us to stand on a platform and speak because we get nervous. But if the exposure is given much younger in an age, it's very natural for a child to express very freely, and the child does not have any inhibitions in speaking. So that's what I wanted to showcase from the change or evolution you can see in the confidence of a child 4 years ago and just last week, right? So these are two talks. Now this is what has happened, and now let me go back to. So this is what the director of the organizer said about his talk, saying that he already presents like a startup founder. So this is a remark that you get from international level for the presentation. So the journey started when he was around 7 or 8 years ago. During his birthday, one of my friends presented him a Lego toy. Now for us, Lego, typically we all talk about, Lego is very frivolous, right? You get Lego and you build, but we never think that Lego is much more than that. And this talk of mine will showcase how blocks build someone's life. So this is where it started. When he was 8, when he was given this toy, he built this very quickly. So right, typically Lego toys come with instruction sets. So if you can see, this is in D8 and IO quarters, we used to stay here. So he built this toy very quickly, and we were amazed for the fact that he was so committed in doing this hands-on. The moment he got this toy, he had nothing else to look at. He was completely focused. Within 6 hours, he built this whole toy, and we were completely amazed how he could do this. It was much beyond his age. So what I want to talk about through this video is the fact that building such a complex toy, typically you see such toys, you must have seen this movie of Kamal Hassan, there's this thing which tumbles, and so that was the whole idea to build this. And you can see in the backdrop my house, that's the hall of the house, and it's completely messy. So there's toys all over the place, and that's how my house is even today. So typically what we do is when we allow a child to explore, the child will make the house messy, but then we typically tend to scold the child for making the house messy, because then it's work for us to put it back. So we would put it back, but it never happened in my house that we would scold him for doing this kind of messy things. It was always allowed to do these things. So that's an environment as a parent that we create and put a focus on. So that's what I want to talk about through this slide, so that if allowed, a child will keep on exploring to build more and more complex stuff from what actually basically he was given from. So that's what this slide talks about.
खोल के तो दिखाओ तुम्हारा मैजिक बॉक्स कैसे बलून को भर रहा है. भर रहा है बलून, भर रहा है. Can you show what is there in the magic box, Pranav? Can you please show what is there in the magic box?
Okay.
What is there? What is there in
This
this?
water spins this gear right over here, which spins the big gear over here, which spins this shaft, which makes this rod go up and down, which generates air, and which goes through the rod and comes here and comes to the balloon.
So this toy came for the fact that the history to this is his birthday was approaching, and he wanted to have balloons for his birthday, for the birthday party. So I challenged him. I said, "You have a lot of stuff with you. Why don't you build something in which you can inflate the balloons yourself?" So he had this small pneumatic pump, which is also a part of the Lego set. You get a lot of stuff in Lego. So there was this pneumatic pump. I challenged him, "Why don't you do something with this pneumatic pump?" Now he does not know what pneumatics is at that age, right? He was just I think 9 or 10. And he didn't have many of these parts. He had these blocks, but he didn't have this piece of pipe that would transmit the air from the pneumatic pump to the balloon. So then I went to a pharmacy, got this glucose saline tube, connected to the pneumatic pump, and we both figured it out. So as an individual, as a child, it would have been difficult for him to figure out this whole thing. So for us, it always has been a family experience. We all three, me, my wife, and my son, we all three sit together and do this as a project. Okay, we have to solve this problem of making a balloon pump. So how do we come about? It's never that he alone is doing it, we all three are doing it, and we all enjoy this process. As you can see how the whole environment in this whole thing is. It's completely informal. There is no formal setup of learning here, but we all three are learning in this journey of exploring with this kind of toys.
Oh no, I have no idea.
Why is this not moving, Pranav?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Kavosky's mechanism, which Pranav is trying to work upon, is not working.
So this is an example of a failure. So I don't know if you have seen this strand beast. So there is this experiment in which a scientist somewhere in Europe had put a huge installations on beach, which would move with wind. They're called a strand beast. So there is this mechanism that he has perfected, in which if the wind blows onto this mechanism, there is a wheel-like movement in which there is a walker movement. So I challenged my son, and let's build something similar, and it did not work. So this is a typical example of a failure. It just did not work. But we kept on trying, and that's how he's enjoying. We are not feeling sad that it's not working. We are actually feeling, okay, it's not working. Fine, let's now look at what we can do next with it. So next, if you can see now,
Today I will
he's built
explain
this.
my worker. 6-leg worker. So first I will show you how it works. You see how it is working. It also has a speed channel here. And we can make measure turning so that the weight sensor keeps the balance. And the person of the other lecture, because this is being played as a
So here there is a walker which can move forward and backward. So the earlier problem also has been solved here. Now again, this solution is not developed by us. It's available somewhere. Let me show you how it is available. So luckily, internet, if you see in his talk, TEDx talk, he's talked about the fact that today you just need two things. One is access to internet, because the information on internet today is so amazing. So this is what is available in the internet. You get books in which you can build toys. So that toy that he built just now, the walker, was there in one of these books. These books just gives you a typical, just one picture slide, and you need to figure out, okay, how do I assemble these pieces to build whatever I want to build. So he built this walker which could make steps forward, steps backward. He had all the building blocks at home, right? The blocks are there. What you just need is little patience and some nudge. The nudge and the ecosystem from parents like us who say, okay, let's build this to solve the problem of building a walker. In the whole process of building that walker, you as future scientists all know how much learning is happening in this phase of building this toy, in which you are mastering a lot of concepts. So although you do not know what the concepts mean at that age, but you know, okay, how does a walker work? How does a feet, rotatory movement translate into oscillatory movement, if you say at that level. But a child is able to build this and understand the actual concept of building such a toy. So in this whole process, we were documenting this whole journey. We put out all this. So if you can see all these videos, they are all there in the channel called as Lego Goa. So right from his childhood, I have been putting out this content and sharing whatever we have been doing on the channel. So although it doesn't have massive here, number of views and all like that, but it's our joy to share this whole content through social media. And one of them was this Lego Goa channel that we created.
Where the pegs come and they carry the ball again. And we can go at the top and adjust to here. Now I'll tell you how does the swing rotate. You can see the motor here. It spins this gear, creating this bigger gear to rotate. That's why the speed reduces and the size changes. And then this gear may spin the smaller gear.
Okay, so this is a typical tumbling motion. This is called as a great ball contraption in Lego world. So Lego world is basically a very huge world. There are many people, enthusiasts around the world who build different kinds of things from Lego. So this is one kind of thing in which it is called as great ball contraption, in which you make the ball tumble across different things, and then people build a hall full of, so the enthusiasts come together and they build this. So this was an attempt in building one such tumbling mechanism, in which now, if you can see, is talking about a motor connecting to a gear, smaller gear connecting to a larger gear. So for him, it is just merely connecting. He does not know that there are teeth to a gear, there is a ratio of gears at that age. Now he knows all those things, but he is exposed much before his age as to how you can transmit motion from the motor to wherever you want to transmit it to, right? And for him, it is the joy of making the ball stumble continuously, right? So that's the joy for a child in building that toy. For me, when I am thinking, it's a joy also, and I'm also aware of the fact that he's now learning many of the concepts that as an adult he would later on make it useful for. So till now we have been building toys which are not programmable. They're just toys that are built to move or think stuff. So when we visited Singapore, because our sister stays there, we made a point to visit Legoland in Malaysia. It's just next to Singapore. So in Legoland, there is this experiential area in which they show you this. So
you need to put here, and now you need to program your robots from here to here, and go here and shoot the target.
How much straight? Okay. Then?
What is next? Yeah, that was the restaurant.
So this is something called as a programmable robot of Lego. It's called as Lego Mindstorms. So in which you can code a robot to do whatever you want to execute. And the whole thing is very even the software is block based. It is not typically like a syntax based. It is just drag and drop blocks. I don't know if you're aware of Scratch, right? So it is Scratch environment in which a child can simply drag forward movement, backward movement, 10 steps forward, 10 steps backward, one rotation, two rotation. It's a very, very visual language of coding. So this is where we saw that, oh, this is something next for us to try, to connect coding with a toy. So this was very, you can say, eye-opening for us, and we thought, okay, let's buy this toy now and see how we can evolve from there. So we bought this Lego Mindstorms toy, and next you can see.
Dear friends, today I'm going to introduce you to EV3's Rubik's Cube solver, which is called the Mind Cuber.
I just forward this because it's a long video.
I mean, here, we'll spin some tiny gear in here, which will spin the big gear, which will also make the seat spin. I'll show you how it works. So now it's getting ready. This all. That's perfect. I'm just spinning.
Basically, you keep the Rubik's Cube into this machine, this contraption, and it scans on the side. So it has a color sensor. Once it scans, then it calculates the algorithm how to solve it. And now it starts solving.
Hold it there. The cube to hold it here. And then the seed spins, which makes the cube move. Right. 7.8s. 8 seconds.
I think it just, yeah. So what I wanted to say from that video was, so this was our first attempt at building something with the coding environment. By the way, this is not built by us. The design was not ours. It's already available in the internet. That's what I said. Internet today is a place where you get immense amount of information. So it was available completely, how to build this, how to code this. We just had to make it work. Making it work, it would not have been easy for him to do it because it involved a lot of coding steps also. So again, it was a family affair. I, my wife, and he, we all three sat together and tried to figure it out. It took probably almost a month to figure it out, to make it work, to solve it, because it had small, you can say, combinations to be done. But we finally managed, and the joy is immense there. And it became like a perfect showcase for us. Wherever we would go out for a talk, we would carry this, tag along this robot with us and impress the kids who would come and see that, okay, you give it a unsolved cube, it will solve it for you, right? Typically, the issue with kids and robots is we all think that robots are something which are humanoid. That's what we all feel. You may not feel, but typically that's the impression that robots means humanoids, mimicking a human structure. But robots are not what that are, right? Robots are basically anything that can automate our tasks. So these kind of robots that we would take around would impress kids, and we have been showcasing a lot of these robots whenever we visit schools or kids visiting us, and we would showcase this Rubik's Cube solver. And mind you, that time he also did not know how to solve the Rubik's Cube when he built this toy. He learned much later how to solve a Rubik's Cube. But basically the joy of building it is immense. So then we decided, okay, let's now go to the next step. Since we knew how to code, we also saw that there is immense amount of a platform in the world in which you can code the robot to participate in competitions. And competitions typically are team-based competitions. And Goa at that time, even now also, you don't have any ecosystem of working with robots and participating in competitions. Typically in metros like Mumbai, Delhi, there are institutions, there are coaching centers just like tuition centers who teach kids how to build robot. And Goa at that time did not have any ecosystem. So we said, okay, let's build a small community, build a team and participate in these competitions. That's how we set up something called as Lego Goa, because we were working with Lego and we were in Goa. So we formed this something called as Lego Goa. And then we invited friends, family friends, his classmates to join this. And we started participating in various competitions happening. So it's a very organic journey. And that's how in 2017, we participated in something called as World Robot Olympiad. And in that competition, I remember very clearly, it was in Hyderabad. We topped from the bottom. What I mean to say that we were the last in the whole list of competitors. It was very new to us, and we had no exposure as to how to compete. Right? Till now, we were only enjoying building our robots, but we do not know how to make the robot go faster and score more points. I will tell you what is scoring more points a little later. And then the whole journey started. In 18, then we participated something called as First Lego League, where we won an award. And 19, again, we won the regional level at Bhopal and we went to the national level. And then in 2020, we went to the international MakeX robotics competition, which we won there, second place. Then again, we went to, if you see this side, photograph, okay, I can't point it, the middle one, that side, Team Lego Goa represented India at the Olympiads of Robotics. So there's something called as Olympics of Robotics, which happens once every year, in which one team per country represents the country. And Team Goa, that means Team Lego Goa, selected to represent the country. And we went to Singapore last year, and there we got 4 awards. And this is the latest one. We went to Turkey this March. So I will show you all these competitions in a little bit. And in all of this process, we got a lot of press also, because nothing was happening in this robotic space in Goa. Press was very curious to write about what we were doing in this space. And by that time, we had a lot of other members joining the club. The team was becoming bigger and bigger, and we had almost 15 kids here when we went to Pune last year and won an award. Because of this work of Lego Goa, government also was thinking in similar lines of doing something with robotics, right? So I was part of this scheme called as CARES, Coding and Robotics Education in School scheme. It's one of its kind in the whole country, in which state education department has formulated a formal scheme for all the students of Goa. So there are 60,000 schools, there are 1,500 schools. So government decided that for class 6, 7 and 8, let's do something with robotics. So I worked upon, so Siddharaj also is here. So we all worked as a team to create this scheme for the state, under which all the existing computer teachers, so all the students already had something called as computers, and in this computer class they were taught something called as Word, Excel, PPT. I don't know if you remember at your childhood, you also must have done that. we revamped the whole curriculum. We said, let's teach them coding now. So we sat with experts, we formulated new textbooks, we did teacher training, and now in all the schools of Goa for class 6, 7, and 8, proper coding is being taught in the schools of Goa. So the small community project that I could start has blossomed now into a statewide, mission. So this is what the scheme is all about. Then this year in 2024, because my wife is from research background, we said, okay, let's now also start publishing what we are doing in formal academic papers. So we were invited to present at the CTIS. This is computational thinking in schools. This happens for specifically for computer teachers. So we presented there at the regional level, and then we presented at the national level also in Pune with this small abstract as to how robotic competitions can help somebody enhance their computational thinking. So computational thinking is a big branch in which now stress is being laid in NEP 2020 also. So NEP 2020 talks about two things, computational thinking and design thinking. And by the way, whatever I have been doing, we have been doing as part of this robotics, completely converges toward these 2 points of computational thinking and design thinking, because the child is now doing everything hands-on, right? And he's learning as he's doing. So these things perfectly gel well with this concept. And that's what this paper talks about. So again, you could say toys, right? So there's something called as Maker Asylum in Goa. You should visit it. It's in Parra in Mapsa, Moira in Mapsa. So this is a maker space in which there is a space in which there are different equipment like carpentry or whatever you can think of. And you go there and you can build whatever you want to build, something called as Maker Asylum. So there we had enrolled Pranav to expose himself to different tools, and that's how he picked up something called as CAD. Now he's pretty good at doing CAD. So there he was challenged to build something. So we all think of wheel, right? Typically how a wheel is. So in this he has reimagined the wheel and he built something like this.
Start.
So as you can see from the video, the wheel has small suspensions within the wheel. So typically you have suspensions separated from the wheel. So he built a wheel in which the suspension is part of the wheel. So if there is any small object, it can take the shock from the wheel. And he submitted this as part of the OSHWA license. For open source, there is a separate license. So like how we have patents, but for open source community, you don't patent it, you go for an open source license. And he got his license, and recently also was showcased in something called as Hackster magazine by OSHWA themselves for this project called as Terraflex. So again, it's a toy, right? It's nothing else but the same generation, you can say evolution of ordinary toy to much advanced toy now. So let me now show you few examples of what I'm talking about robotic competitions are. I only talked about what achievements he has got. I talked about what he is now learning, but let me show you what these competitions are all about. Why I'm showing you, because you might not have an idea as to what these competitions actually mean. So let me show you this video.
Parents and participants, coaches, if your team run is done,
Yeah, so this is how typically you build a robot to solve in the least amount of time. Typically maximum time is 120 seconds, and the winning teams would score say 50 seconds, 40 seconds, and the world winning would be around 25 to 30 seconds. So to build this, you have typically this mat. This is the mat in which you have different color zones, and you're supposed to pick up objects from a particular zone, detect in which zone it is based on your color sensor, whatever it is, and drop it to the zone in which, as based on the color, in the least amount of time. What is allowed is you can build with whatever fixed toy that you have, basically Lego toy. In that Lego set, whatever sensors you have, whatever motors you have, you can combine them to build your own robot to solve this to earn points. So you can see those small objects that the robot was picking, right? Each one would have 5 points. If dropped in the correct location, 5 into, say, double it, say it becomes 10 points. So that's how the typical challenge is. And typically it is, you are given 3 to 4 months. The challenge is uniform across the world. It is released 4 months in advance, and everybody gets to know what the challenge is, and then everybody starts solving it in our own house, and then you compete at different levels. So in India, you would compete at a regional level. So this regional level happened in Bhopal, and regional event winners go to the national level. So this is a national level event in Delhi. The winners of this level national event go to the worlds, which would happen every year in a different location. So that's how the progression is. It's like a typical sports event, football or whatever it is. It's a team event. More than one, like 2 to 3 people, kids should come together. And there's an age group also. Typically, this is under 12 age group, which happens here. So this is called as a World Robot Olympiad. And that's how the mat is. The mat also is designed by them only. The design is given in advance, and everybody works towards solving this mission. And initially solving it is much easier. It's not difficult. But then when you challenge yourself to make it faster and faster, that's where the whole challenge lies upon. How do you now cut down the time from 100 seconds to 50 seconds? That's where coding comes in place. How do you optimize your algorithm to find the shortest path, right? And how you now use PID. So kids, typically PID is taught at a much engineering level for those who come from engineering background. But these kids at the age of 12 are already using PID, because now if they don't use PID, the robot won't go fast. Right? So it's the need that is created by the competitions to now optimize their speed, and optimization comes from different algorithms. So you're exploring. So we would come to Pramod and ask him, okay, so tell us what PID is. We have no clue what PID is. So Pramod tells us how do you work with different coefficients and Kalman filters. It's all Greek for us what Kalman filter is. I'm not an engineer. Of course, my wife comes in as a coder to help him in coding. But we all are learning in this process of building this toy to make it go faster, all these engineering concepts. So it is not driven by the need that you have to open a textbook to learn. It's driven by the fact that now you want to make the robot go faster and win the tournament. So the tournament or the competition is now forcing you to optimize and improve yourself, right? That's how it is. So this is another challenge which I told you about, Olympics of robots.
The match begins when the announcer says, "Go!" For the first 2 minutes of the match, each regional alliance works to extract water from the reservoir and then use energy to break the bonds that hold the hydrogen and oxygen atoms together. Robots can perform the separation, or teams can use the electrolyzers to sort the atoms by size. Hydrogen tanks and oxygen in the corner oxygen accumulators. When each regional alliance decides their hydrogen tank is filled, they transport the hydrogen tank to align it under the oxygen accumulator. While a robot fully supported by the hydrogen hub structure demonstrates expert proficiency.
So this is the challenge statement, which is released 4 months in advance for this competition called as the Olympics of Robotics. So you can see they have said that you have to drop these small balls, larger balls, segregate all this. And then they say you have to build this robot with a set, given amount of tool parts. So now I'll show you the actual match. So to build that robot, we go through all this process called as design thinking. So typically, the ones who understand design thinking, this is the process followed. But the kids are actually following this. So you go through brainstorming, and then you do this prototyping, requirement analysis, assembling the robot, testing it, again doing the loop back. So what we did for this competition is we set up a lab in this, I don't know, some of you must have visited lab, Taligaon Church, there is this old panchayat. So we asked the government to lend us the place because the play field is 7 meters by 10 meters by 10 meters. So till now, the robots were built in my house. For this robot, my house was not big enough. So we had to take a place. So we took up this place, set up a whole functional robotics lab there for a period of 3 months. I quit my office for 2 months, took a leave. The kids also took holidays from the school for 2 months. And 2 months we were completely immersed in building this robot because we were representing our country at the Olympiads, right? It's typically like any other Olympiad, a sports Olympiad. So this is Olympics of robotics. So for 2 months we had nothing else to do, just concentrate fully on building this robot. And after doing all this We went to Singapore last September, and this is one of the matches.
So we're down to match students where no one is denied the opportunity of participate in First Global.
And as I participated every year, I continue to give
So you
this
can see the robot from the flag. I'll show you.
right now.
There are 6 robots on the field.
Need to even go outside.
And in terms of
This is the,
outside, I think
you can
about
see
the
my
way in
mouse.
which
You can see the
Guatemala
flag also
focused
here.
on them a second ago.
Into the
We're supposed to pick the small green balls, and now if you can see, this is the India robot.
Push the
They're dropping into
the
this
direction they're looking forward to.
container and pushing it the container into the zone.
Because right now, I think you should be hooked on the world of STEM if you are just joining us.
Able to be fully supported
That's
by the
India
hydrogen
team.
hub structure. Other
The
4
big difference.
robots appeared, at least from the camera, to be fully within the reservoir boundary, and all of those points are going to...
Looks like we're ready
This
for
match,
it.
India won.
My man, let's have that.
So in this tournament, we got around 4 awards. Of course, we were not the top 3 in this competition. We have to work much harder than this. Typically, our Olympics, you have seen, right? Our medal tally also is not showing any gold. So the same amount of work that goes into sports goes into these robotic sports as well. We need to put in more amount of work into building a robot that can win at that level. So like any other sports, like we need to still achieve a gold medal, we need to still work harder to achieve a gold medal in robotics as well. It is as competitive as that Olympics is, this whole space is. So this is what is first global challenge. Now this is something is ultimate of robotics. This is called as a first robotics competition, which happens everywhere, not in India, but happens everywhere else. And the robots here are much, much bigger, as you can see from this.
Let's go! Welcome to 73. Yeah! Meanwhile, 45, 49. Makes the shot, but it's not good. 95, 45. So see the goal. And the goal shot, and it's too far. 75,
It's a 20-meter playfield, 20 meters by 8 meters. It's a huge playfield. There are 3 plus 3, 6 robots, each robot weighing not less than 30 kilograms. So it's a huge robot, and the team size is around 10 to 15. Goa does not have a team, so we joined a team in Mumbai, which had all this facility to build such a big robot. So literally we stayed in Mumbai for almost 2 months to build this robot. And it was a very nice experience of building and interacting with, so typically in this competition, the kids are of age 14 and above, 14 to 18. And you are now not doing a visual coding language, you're using proper Java to code a robot. And there is an autonomous phase in this in which you're supposed to program the robot to do autonomous tasks, right? So in that you need a very advanced level of coding. And by this now, me and my wife, we are not at that level to teach him anymore. He's crossed our level, my son. So now he goes to the internet, figures out his own code, writes his own code, and that's how. So now, if you can see, we had to give him that opportunity to learn at a younger age, and now he's able to code beyond what our learning is. Now he doesn't need our support to build a robot of this size. At the age of 15, he's able to build such a complex robot with his team and code it as well to do all whatever is required. That's what this competition talks about. This was in Turkey in this March. So how do you now, since I've talked about, till now I've talked about what I have done, and these are all the opportunities that are present for those parents who think what now can be done from what I have talked about, is that these opportunities are already there for all of us as parents. One is playing with toys. So toys could be of any type. Maybe 30 years ago, the toys were wooden, and now the toys are much complex, but toys always existed, and toys are there now also. So how can we use these toys to build? Solving puzzles. There are different kinds of puzzles now available in the market. So maybe we can try all these different types of puzzles and expose the kids to these puzzles. Making and breaking stuff, we have to allow the kids to break. That's the whole fundamental concept of this, is to allow them that creative freedom to break and make. That's what we adults typically do not allow the kids to do. And there are so many science events happening around. We have to be open to participating in these events. Typically, even NIO does so many science events. Do all the kids from around come and participate in these events? As a parent, do we take our kids to say BITS? So BITS has something called as Quark, which happens once a year. Siddharaj takes his bunch of kids to Quark every year. So do we do that kind of effort? So typically as parents, what we do is we send our kids to music. That's typically what we do, or send them to badminton. They're all fine. I'm not saying that. But there is this whole world of exposing our child to which many of our parents may not be aware of. That is this space. I'm not saying this is the only space or this is the best space. I'm saying let us be aware that this is the whole world of these kind of things exist out there. Something called as toys and robotics and competitions exist out there. And these Olympiads also. Different kinds of Olympiads are there. Math, physics, science, IT, cyber. There's so many Olympiads, and there's something called as robotic competitions. I've listed all of these robotic competitions here, which happen in India. Something called as First Lego League, First Tech Challenge, First Global Challenge, and much simpler. So World STEM and Robotics Olympiad happened in Goa just a month ago in Kampal in the indoor stadium. IT Tech First in Mumbai and BITS Quark in BITS campus in Vasco. So all these competitions happen in Goa. Some of them happen in Goa, some of them happen in India. We can take our kids to show them at least this is how the competitions are. Maybe if you're interested, then let's participate in that. But our job as a parent would be to at least show them what happens in these competitions, right? So as a part of this, when we went to MIT, we saw, so I and my son, we both of us went, I and my son, to MIT. So we saw how MIT fosters a spirit of collaboration. Basically, whatever we have been doing till now has been inspired sort of by MIT because Scratch or Lego Mindstorms has been developed in MIT. So we were very much inspired by what MIT does. That's why that's our target institution. And we thought, why not start something collaborative in India? So we launched this something called as Empower Ed. So this is by students for students, because if they could invite a kid from India to a summit in MIT, imagine the level of openness and respect MIT has for children. They do not value you by the degree that you have. They value you by what you are at that present moment. So that's a very different environment over there. And so that's why we said, why not the children from India all over the world who have the capability network together and form an organization which can tap into their own ability to teach other kids from their locality. That's how Empower Ed has been formulated, with the sense that students now come together and teach other students. That's how this initiative is. And what would the benefits of joining this club is, the kids will be able to develop different skills, tech skills basically, and most importantly, leadership opportunities. That is what is lacking today completely. How does a child now take initiative and lead whatever he's in his community? Children have all the capability today, only they need this opportunity and confidence to become a leader. That's what this would do. Yeah, so this is what my talk has been, just a concluding slide. So I spoke about how I have encouraged, or I and my wife encouraged nurturing at my home. I'm not talking about the world, I'm just talking about my home, how I have been able to create this. Through my experience, I've been able to nurture creativity and allowed the expression of it. In this whole journey, we have ensured that the communication skills are very strong. So wherever we thought that he needed help in communicating effectively, we went to people like Toastmasters who told him how to speak effectively, how to communicate effectively, how to pace his talk. That's how you become communicator, right? Today, in today's world, merely being a technologist doesn't help. You have to be also a good communicator. So that's how we try to develop his skill. And leadership, of course, leadership comes from not only knowing but sharing. So throughout the journey, from the age of 8, he has been speaking in the public, talking about his journey. Whatever the journey is, the smallest toy that he has built, he has shared with the community. By sharing, you develop the communication and confidence to become a leader. That's how you can nurture leadership. Balancing academics and extracurriculars is difficult. It is not easy, but it is also in easy terms that today, for my son, the easiest subjects are science and maths, which is exactly opposite for any other child. And Siddharaj here is his teacher. He would vouch for the fact that he fears Hindi the most today in his class. He never studies for science and mathematics. He just walks into the exam. that confidence comes from his extracurriculars, right? So it is all. So if we can say that if the academics is suffering, it is not so. Extracurriculars do help in academics. Okay, values and character, it is most important because in competition when you participate, there are many things that happen which are not typically known. For example, there are some coaches which would do ulterior practices, they do manipulations with their code or they help kids in the wrong way. So as a parent, you have to develop this very strong sense of ethics and values in your child that you're supposed to be following the right path and the honest path. So this happens by practice. It's not by telling, okay, you now be honest. You follow the path to teach your child. Of course, you have to provide love and support in this whole journey. Whatever the result is, we don't win a competition, yet you have to provide that love and support. So that's my talk. That ends my talk here. For more information, you can Google either Lego Goa or saipranav.in and you'll find all the information. For any questions or doubts, I'm there here. Yeah. Thank you.
No one is asking, so thought I would ask you. Just a general thing, how do you balance between very competitive environment where the kid gets stressed out completely, sometimes you cannot sleep. It's like that kind of level of competitiveness which you have to inculcate in the kid, and being relaxed, because that's the age when they can actually be relaxed. When they grow up later on, they're going to go through this competitive environment anyway. So how do you balance that, in your opinion?
It's a very difficult question. I don't think there's a right answer or wrong answer there. Every competition, the 8 days prior to the competition, we are all stressed and we do fight. Okay, why are we not putting in the effort? And there is all this, but it is for that moment, right? It is not permanently etched into your memory. It happens for that few days when you are competing. After that, again, it is normal. You go back to your normal routine in the life. But for that, yes, 8 days, we would go for that intense experience of going through that pressure. And I think it also teaches you, right, that ultimately when you become an adult, you have to face this competition. So you are grooming the child to face that in the future at a much earlier age. Yeah. If that was the case, I don't think China would have been winning so many medals right today at Olympics. They are so competitive. Yeah.
Means at such a young age, like how does he deal with like disappointment? Is he like okay, and as a normal kid he will just forget whatever happened, or like, how do you support him with that?
I think that's because we have been doing it for some time now. Luckily, he doesn't take it. So it's completely normal. There is nothing which he carries back home that I'm great or I've missed out on this medal. It's just normal. The fact that today he could not come for this talk, that he's not well, I had to push him. Please come. He said, no, I don't want to come because I have exams on Monday. And if I fall sick, I'll not be able to answer, which is completely fine. Like a normal child. Lucky. Maybe I'm lucky. Maybe others may not be that lucky enough. But yeah, I think that also comes from upbringing. We have never stressed on the fact that achievement is more important. So many competitions we have not won. Many competitions we have not done well. So which is, I think, completely fine. What we are always stressed upon is the learning from the competition. And competition only provides us a framework to become intense in our practice. If we do not have competitions forcing us, we all become relaxed and maybe our learning is not as fast enough. Siddharaj here may disagree here, but this is our experiment in nudging our child towards participating in competition so that he does better and better, challenges himself basically to do better and better.
So typically, how much time do you spend with him on a day-to-day basis doing this?
So it depends. If you're participating in a competition, it's a lot of time. So after we both are back from office, we would spend all the day with him. Like for example, you would sit until 12, 1 p.m. in the night, working on the code of the robot to make it work. So anywhere between 3 to 4 hours, during competition. a lot of time commitment. So the whole journey is as a family. It's not as so. Typically, what happens is what we do is for any child is we send him to a class, and that's our job is done. He goes to a music class, and our job is done. He goes to a robotics class, our job is done. We have not followed that routine. It's our job. It's the family's job that we are all in it together. That's what is my experiment with it. Maybe somebody else has a different experiment, but that's how we have done it. Yes, Murli.
Yeah, it was wonderful to listen to you, Sai. So though we know very well, I appreciate you for putting Pranav's skill and his interest and encouraging him continuously in that. That is one of the very important in parenting. Because most of the parents look at okay, my kid is going for karate, my opposite kid going for singing, so they push without knowing the kid's interest, and they push the kid for their self-interest. That was a many parents are doing the mistake. But I appreciate you and Aparna for judging his strength and his skill and continuously supporting him. So really great to hear. And though we miss Sai Pranav, I'm sure that on other occasion we'll surely listen him.
Yeah.
So that's my appreciation to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your talk was a perfect example of how curiosity is the mother of invention, and also how, as a family, you have supported and your contribution towards the society as well. So now I would like to request our director, sir, to felicitate our guest with a medicinal plant and a gift.